Alright boys and girls, welcome to LewDix Aviation. Now when you come to this channel, you expect a fully coherent aviation video, which is fun-filled and maybe, you know, you might learn a thing or two along the way. Read the disclaimer though. You expect that all the video recording equipment and the audio recording equipment work as they were designed in order to create such an experience. A little bit of a different video for you today, and let's see if you can see why it's different. Yes, that's right. One of the components of the audio recording equipment did not do what it was designed to do, and has in fact ruined the initial idea that I had for this particular video, which means we miss out on great banter like this. And this. We're going to turn a negative into a positive. We're going to change it, and I'm going to make this a kind of a review where I'm going to sit down and we're going to go through what happens in this video together. Seth, who you've seen on the channel before, he is working on his landings, trying to get some consistency with landings, see if he did well, see if he didn't do so well, see what he can improve on. I will argue with you all day about landings being the most difficult part of flight training. Lewis, no, paying for the flight is the most difficult part of flight training.
This is great banter.
Seth needs to find some consistency. Been elusive at the moment. There's been a lot of go-arounds, which is never a bad thing, but eventually we've got to get the plane down, you know what I mean? Before we get started with this kind of review, I need to tell you that I don't wear eyeglasses.
You're joking.
However, if you're a pilot and you do wear eyeglasses, Flying Eyes Optics has a solution for you. You can put your prescription lenses into Flying Eyes frames, which fit underneath headsets, pain-free. You don't lose your noise cancelling, because all I've ever shown on this channel is Flying Eyes with the sunglasses, but now they've moved into doing what they call ophthalmics. Big word for this channel. There's different styles of frames, but that's not all. They come with a magnetic set of shades.
What's the procedure?
Take them off, put them on whenever you want, and still have your prescription glasses underneath. It's fantastic. Great from Flying Eyes. I've been a brand ambassador for Flying Eyes for a while now. If you're a pilot and you're not wearing Flying Eyes, what are you doing? You get 10% discount off all Flying Eyes products using my discount code LewDix. The links are in the description for you. Also, there's a link for this thing that I'm going to show you in the description as well. Flashaviation.shop. Flashcards. To help you study. Throughout your flight training, helps you study for the written test, helps you study for the oral exam that you're going to do. One side of the flashcards, which kind of gives you, you know, what it's about, 4 forces of flight, gives you some statements here to kind of study. And then on the back, it's got it all filled in for you, so you can compare what you thought it was to what the actual answer is, and it helps you study. It's a really good tool. There's a private pilot set, instrument pilot set, there's a commercial pilot set, all a massive, look at the amount in the instrument set. Massive set. Really, really helpful. So if you're in flight training and you want an aid to help you out with your written test and your oral, flashaviation.shop. Link is in the description for you. Let's get into this and watch this together, shall we? Alright, so here we go, coming in on the first landing. We're going on from downwind to base here. The first one I always find is the bad one, usually, during training, especially in the early stages of training, when you're just learning how to land. Telling him there that his speed's just a little bit fast. Usually look for beam the numbers, first notch of flaps, with reducing the power, of course. 80 knots, 75 on a base, 65 final, so it's a little bit high there. I'm telling him though that his speed is now where it needs to be on final. There it is, 65 final. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Seth, big dog. Now, what I find with students in the early stages, they like to keep the nose up. They like to come in like an airliner. That angle right there is not quite right. That's the angle we're looking for, that second arrow. You want to point the nose a little bit further down. You don't want to be coming in like this, because then you're going to bleed your speed off too much. It's all part of that flaring too high. You've got to get the picture of how it's supposed to look. I kind of told him that, and he's corrected it. Let's see how this first one goes. there we go. So, touchdown wise, not bad. A little bit to the right of the centre line there, which is exactly what I'm telling him there. Do the same thing. I've told him, like, even though, you know, I want the nice touchdown, that we should be also thinking about putting it onto the centre line. You see there what he was trying to do. He was trying to use his crosswind controls there, which he was swinging the nose and wasn't quite understanding it, so I just gave him a little bit of instruction there to kind of straighten it out. And look at that. Now he's in a position where he's nice, aligned with the runway, and it's all stable. Speed just ever so slightly high. He's bled it off. Just a little bit to the right of the centre line again, but look at that touchdown. I'll tell you what, as an instructor, it's so fulfilling, like seeing somebody succeed, you know, based on your instruction. Like, I'm not touching the controls, so it's a big bit of elation for me when I'm not even touching the controls and I can help somebody get to, you know, to land the plane well. It's good. I enjoy it. You can see on that one, he's starting to understand more, keeping the nose down and starting to understand when he has to pull that nose up, putting it into ground effect. And I tell people to look to the end of the runway and then hold the nose to it for the flare. So he's starting to understand now. We're on the next landing. His speed's high on final. He needs to bleed that off. So you can see me, I always take a quick glance at the airspeed as we're coming in on final. Well, all the time actually, but there's a certain point where I'll say, okay, I've got my airspeed, I don't need to look at it anymore. So we're coming over the runway now. He's a little bit high, but he's getting his speed back to where it needs to be. We will take it, absolutely. So that one was a nice touchdown, a beautiful, even though he was slightly fast coming in on that short final, he bled the speed off. And again, he's starting to understand when to pull that nose up. Now, he was doing so well at this point that I decided to give him a test. As an instructor, if you're an instructor watching, you know if somebody's doing well, raise the standard of performance. So I'm giving him a power off 180 to deal with. I'm a fan of leaving flaps until you absolutely know that you've made the runway. You can always lose altitude fairly easily, as it's very difficult to gain altitude without any power. So, but he's brought it in, nice speed. Best glide speed is your best friend in this. Glided it all the way down. Now he's at his final approach speed. Look at that beautiful flare.
It's a greaser.
It's a greaser. Beautiful. I'm just telling him crosswind controls there, not to forget about those on the takeoff. Beautiful though. So he's done so well. I like to give him a little bit of a rest so they can kind of calm down a little bit. So I took the controls for one of them. Let's critique how I do, shall we? At Orlando Executive, you always get sent out on long downwinds and then a long final. So I've kept the speed high at this point, but now I'm starting to back it off. And Seth actually pointed out, you can't hear it obviously, because as we know, the audio failed. Thank you, audio recording equipment. Actually, it's the GoPro's fault. And yeah, he actually said, okay, it seems like you're coming in a little bit fast, which was good for him to kind of point that out. There we go, got my approach speed. Nice to the end of the runway, holding it off, and bang on the 1,000-foot marker centre line. A little bit of crosswind control to that left side. We had a little bit of a crosswind. And then what I'm showing him there, just to stop it, pointed up, because I took the crosswind controls out, and I'm showing him that when you do that, the wind from that side is going to try and lift that wing. So I don't know if you see it in the video. When you're in the plane, you can actually feel the wind push that wing up a little bit, so you've got to kind of keep the correction in there. I feel like it's a good little thing to show students, because maybe that's a good way to understand that that's why they need to get that wing down. So final one, we got extended a little bit here. You can see us, we're turning on to base there, and then now Seth is just calling back to air traffic control because there was a guy in the traffic pattern who was acting up. I thought he was a student pilot, and I wish I could show it to you to kind of, you know, we could use it as a learning experience, but he was very unsure with his radio calls. Tower told him to kind of look for some traffic and asked him if he can see it, and the guy said back to him, "I'm not seeing anything," which can be interpreted in different ways. So what Tower did, this guy, we're here on downwind, the guy was behind us, so Tower extended us and cleared that guy to land so they could just kind of get him down and maybe, I don't know, calm him down or avoid some sort of thing happening. But the guy actually asked, "Oh no, I want to touch and go," and Tower's like, "Nah, do a full stop." That's all right, we get to extend, and that gives you time to go down to the like button and hit that for me. And if you're not subscribed to LewDix Aviation, get yourself subscribed. It's cool flying videos when the equipment works. But here we go, final landing. He's got a nice angle down towards the runway. Again, he's understanding that more. Speed's beautiful. A little bit of rockiness because of the wind. As what happens with students is when they're focusing on the crosswind controls, they forget about everything else. That's what happened there. He was trying to focus on the crosswind controls, getting that wing down, and then opposite rudder to keep the center line. Flared just a little bit high and kind of let it hit down a little bit harder. Wasn't a bad landing by any means, but that's why we're here, reviewing, making ourselves better. A good pilot is always watching LewDix Aviation. So yeah, anyway, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Seth for being a good sport and letting us record. All in all, very, very good. Thanks, Seth. Thank you to you for watching. Thanks to Flying Eyes. Thanks to flashaviation.shop. All the links you need are in the description. I'll see you on the next one.